Good morning, Stuart. This is your first CEO message for 2024. Can you explain what this video is all about?
Well, it's an opportunity for us to be able to talk to the participant group, the industry, in a different kind of way, and an opportunity to be able to bring everyone up to speed on what's been happening in greyhound racing in the industry in Victoria over the last few months.
Well, can you update us on how the industry is going, particularly how wagering is looking at the moment?
Yeah, look, as most people be aware, the majority of the revenue that's generated by GRV and that goes to fund participant returns and all the operations of GRV comes from wagering. Over the last 12 months or so, wagering turnover on Victorian greyhounds, but also across the board, across all three codes, has really dropped off quite significantly, about 15% down year on year for the first 7 months of this financial year. So that's quite a significant impact, and then on top of a drop off last year. So that's having real impacts on how the industry is funded at the moment. That means we've had to reduce costs across the board. We're still doing that. We're going through a process of reducing costs here at GRV, and have already done a fair bit there. Yes, we had to make some prize money changes from January that I know are never attractive for anybody, and no one ever wants to see that. But the reality is we are dealing with a lot less revenue, at least $12 million less year on year at this point in time, and that requires us to look at things differently. We're working with our wagering partners on how we might be able to reinvigorate things. It is cyclical, and we expect that things might start to return or at least smooth out over the next few months. But when we get to August, we have the end of the current Victorian wagering licence and the end of the joint venture between the three codes. We'll move to a new funding arrangement with government, both from point of consumption tax and from wagering licence premium returns. That will give us a smoother funding arrangement going forward. So things will become a little bit more stable as we get into the next financial year.
In the past few weeks, GRV has released an infrastructure discussion paper. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, look, the infrastructure discussion paper is for consultation. So it covers a range of issues about what the future footprint for our tracks, our facilities, our training facilities at our race clubs across the state might look like. In particular, we want to look at what does the industry want and need as we start to prepare for a 10-year infrastructure plan. So we need to be careful about how we plan for that, but we genuinely want to hear from the industry about what they want and what they see as what we should be doing over the next couple of years.
Why is this paper being released now?
Okay, look, we're all dealing with scarce resources. So ultimately we have to make the right decisions for the future when we're thinking about significant and large cost infrastructure program and particular projects. So what we do have is, many people be aware, of course, that we've ceased racing at Cranbourne, and we're looking at options as to how we can service people in that Cranbourne region and that southeast region going forward, as to what we might do at the Cranbourne track and or what we might do potentially for a greenfield site in that southeast area, and all of that's being assessed at the moment. The second most important factor as well that really dovetails into that is the fact that our two metropolitan tracks both will require upgrades and significant redevelopment in the next 5 years. So both Sandown and the Meadows are well over 20 years old and need some work done to them. So before we agree or before we decide on what that should look like, we need to get an informed view from the industry and assess all of our options. So it's completely open. There have been no decisions made on anything. We want to look at all options.
There's been some commentary about GRV wanting to end two-turn racing. Can you clarify GRV's position on that?
Yeah, I can. What's absolutely clear is that we have no agenda at all to cease two-turn racing. What we want to know is what the industry actually thinks about the future and what we should do with our two city tracks, what that should look like into the future. It might be that there's little or no change and we really just improve the tracks that we've got. It might be that we could consider broader change, but we need to know what the industry really wants to see going forward. If we continue to do exactly the same as we've done now, then we'll continue to get the same outcomes. We want to make sure that we've considered every single option, but I want to make it clear, no decisions have been made at all, and this is the purpose for a discussion paper and consultation. That consultation at the moment is open to everyone to make written submissions via the Racing Assets Infrastructure Plan email address that people would have received information about, and we'll have more information for people on that. That's open till the end of March. We'll continue consultations with various stakeholder groups, and we will do some face-to-face meetings in the regions at various clubs over the next month or so, where people have an opportunity to hear more, ask questions, provide their feedback, and we'll have more information about venues and dates for those coming up soon.
Staying on the topic of infrastructure, there's been some work going on at Ballarat.
Yeah, look, very pleased that we were able to complete the Ballarat Racing Operations Centre and Kennel Block Development Project on time and on budget. So we returned to racing this week on Monday for the first time back at Ballarat. The feedback's been terrific. It is a really superb facility, a lot more space, a lot more thought's been put into how does this work best, because once again, these kind of investments need to work and last for the next 20 odd years. So that's a really fantastic piece of infrastructure investment that we've made in conjunction with the Victorian State Government, and we're really pleased with the outcome there.
GRV also has hosted an event at Parliament in the past week, and yourself and GRV Chair Peter Duncan have made some visits to regional towns, Horsham and Shepparton in February. Can you talk us through those?
Yeah, look, this is the first time that we've deliberately run an event at Parliament House, and I'm really pleased that we got great support from MPs at Parliament House in the gardens, and that was an opportunity for us to start to talk directly to politicians about the important economic contribution that greyhound racing makes in Victoria, some $460 odd million annually, some 4,700 full-time equivalent jobs, and many of the people involved in greyhound racing are in regional areas, and they're ultimately mostly multi-generation family people, and they spend and they contribute in regional Victoria. The second part of that, and that was a really good event, I'm sorry, that really went very well in terms of an opportunity to showcase what greyhound racing is all about. Ongoing is also the regional visits where we're visiting MPs and councils and also local media, making sure we put our story straight and we're able to tell people about the local contribution that each of our clubs make and greyhound racing in those regions make. And I have to say that it's been really well received by not only councils but also local MPs and also the media in those regions, that we are telling our story and making sure the industry is well represented in terms of making sure that the economic impact and the contribution that greyhound racing makes in the community is well understood.
There have also been some tweaks proposed to the rules of racing around screening limits and thresholds for swabs. What are those proposed changes and what are you hoping they achieve?
Yeah, look, Greyhounds Australasia through the Veterinary and Analyst Committee have done quite a lot of work on looking at appropriate screening limits and threshold limits for certain substances that most participants have probably been looking for this kind of arrangement for some time around making sure that we've got the appropriate guidance and threshold limits such that we're not picking up minor residue in positive swabs, so that there's not unintended positive swabs occurring when in fact we've got small trace elements of substances in swabs. So there's a number of those changes that are out there for consultation at the moment, and we're looking for people to provide written submissions by the 5th of March.
Finally, can you fill us in on how the Greyhound adoption program is tracking?
Yeah, look, it's no secret that being able, the economic environment at the moment is actually making it very difficult for everyone who's involved in rehoming pets and rehoming animals at the moment to be able to find new homes. We're working really hard. Our team at GAP does a lot of really good work. We recently held an adoption day at Geelong and one not so long ago at Ballarat, and those have been really well received in terms of the opportunity to get to regional areas as well. And we've been able to find new homes for a number of dogs, and about 14 at the most recent Geelong event found a new home. So all of those opportunities, we're continuing to look at working with clubs and regions and trying to help participants to be able to get their greyhounds rehomed. So that we know that that's difficult at the moment, and we're doing all we can. We're continuing to work with Police Veterans Victoria as a partner in certainly trying to find opportunities where retired policemen can get access to greyhounds that would make great companion pets for them. And we've also got our adoption program running through the US at the moment in conjunction with Racing to Rehome. That's also going very well. But all of those things need to add together, and we're trying to generate even more interest in the community at the moment.
And at our 2 premier tracks, there's some time slot adjustments.
Yeah, well, look, we've trialled moving Meadows Wednesday meetings from day to Wednesday nights over the last number of months, and it's worked out very well. It's worked out with better average nominations per meeting, better field sizes, and certainly from a wagering turnover perspective, it's been a more positive result. The other side of it from a club perspective is hospitality and attendance has even been better. So we've decided that in conjunction with the MGRA, that will leave Wednesdays in Wednesday nights, certainly for the time being. The secondary change that we're looking to make at the moment is to try something different to optimise turnover but also field sizes, is from May, the Sandown Sunday meetings will move to Monday nights, and Ballarat Monday meetings will move to Sundays for a trial period, and we'll see how that goes in terms of nominations, field sizes, wagering outcomes across those 2 meetings. But this is all about trying to optimise turnover, but at the same time also meet the needs of participants. The Sunday at Ballarat also gives the opportunity on a weekend for a Tier 3 race meeting, because we don't have that many, and certainly don't have that many on the western side of the city on weekends.
And we're going to see Hillsville closed for a period of time.
Yes, Hillsville's having a few improvements made to the track at the moment. The outside fence is being replaced, and so that will take a few weeks for that to be all settled, and also new box positioner for the drop-on boxes at the 300 start at Hillsville. So when we return to racing there, it'll be some really important changes that are being made there.
And what's coming up for the month of March?
Of course, we've got the Horsham Cup Heats and Final coming up, and then we move to the Shepparton Cup Heats and Final later on in March. And throughout the month of March, we'll start to move towards supporting the Good Friday Appeal, the Royal Children's Hospital Good Friday Appeal, which has been a traditional fundraiser for greyhound racing in Victoria, with our clubs, our wagering partner Sportsbet, also all supporting the Good Friday Appeal. And we have 3 race meetings on Good Friday, which are all going to be supporting and doing a lot of family activity around raising funds for the Royal Children's Hospital Good Friday Appeal.